You don't need more time. You need more discipline. That's the truth most will never face. While they wait for motivation, you could be building momentum. While they react, you could be commanding. Discipline isn't just a tool, it's your battlefield advantage. If you can control your actions when it's hardest, you control your future. You don't need to feel like it, you just need to act. This video is your call to conquer yourself. Subscribe to our channel if you're ready. To master your mind and tell us, where are you watching from? Listen closely, for what I am about to tell you has won more battles than any strategy I ever devised on the battlefield. The greatest war you will ever wage is not against external enemies, but against the chaos within your own mind. I have commanded armies across continents, but first, I had to learn to command myself. You dream of victory, of conquest, of leaving your mark upon history. But you cannot even conquer your own morning routine. You cannot defeat the simple urge to procrastinate. How then do you expect to achieve greatness? The first battle, the one that determines all others, is the battle for self-mastery. I see you struggling with the same weakness that plagues every potential leader, the belief that external circumstances determine your fate. Napoleon, they said, was fortunate in battle. But fortune favors the disciplined mind. While others saw chaos, I saw patterns. While they reacted, I responded. This is not a gift. This is training. Every morning when you wake, there's a war council happening in your mind. Your weak self argues for comfort, for delay, for the path of least resistance. This is your first enemy, and you must crush it without mercy. Discipline begins the moment you acknowledge this battle and choose to fight it. You must understand, your mind is like an army. Untrained, it is nothing but a mob, dangerous, unpredictable, easily routed. But under discipline, it becomes an unstoppable force. Your thoughts are your soldiers. Your habits are your strategies. Your willpower is your command. The undisciplined mind is a liability that will sabotage every opportunity, every advantage, every resource at your disposal. I will tell you what I learned on the fields of battle. Reaction is the strategy of the defeated. The disciplined mind does not react. It responds. It does not flinch. It focuses. When chaos erupts around you, when your plans crumble, when fear grips those around you, the disciplined mind remains sovereign. This is the difference between those who lead and those who follow, between those who command and those who comply. Start with the smallest battlefield, your daily routine. Can you command yourself to rise at the same hour regardless of desire? Can you force yourself to begin your most important work when every fiber of your being screams for delay? This is where generals are made. This is where empires begin. Each small victory over yourself builds the foundation of future conquests. Your mind will resist this discipline. It will create excuses so eloquent they sound like wisdom. It will point to others who succeed without such rigid control. It will remind you of past failures, of moments when discipline failed you. Silence these voices. They are the whispers of mediocrity, the siren song of the average, the lullaby of the defeated. The battle for self-mastery is fought in silence, in solitude, in those moments when no one is watching. It is won in the choices you make when you could choose comfort but choose growth instead, when you could sleep in but rise to train, when you could speak but choose to listen, when you could rest but choose to persist. These private victories build the character that public success demands. Remember, discipline is not punishment, it is power. Every act of self-command strengthens your authority over yourself. Every victory over your weaker impulses builds the army of your character. You are not denying yourself. You are arming yourself. You are not restricting your freedom. You are expanding your control over your destiny. The world bends to those who have mastered themselves. I have seen it on the battlefield, in the courts of kings, in the quiet moments before dawn, when decisions that will echo through history are made. The externally undisciplined may win skirmishes, but the internally Disciplined win wars. They move with a certainty that others mistake for confidence. But it is something far more powerful. It is command. Your first order as commander of yourself. Identify your weakest moments. When does your discipline falter? In the morning? Late. At night? When under stress? These are your vulnerable flanks. These are where the enemy, your undisciplined self, will attack. Fortify these positions first. Build your defenses where you are weakest, not where you are already strong. Start today. Start now. The battle for self-mastery waits for no perfect moment. Every second you hesitate is a victory for your weaker self. Every moment of indecision is territory ceded to mediocrity. Take command. Seize control of your mind with the same determination you would use to seize a strategic position in battle. The war within never ends. But with each victory, with each act of discipline, you build your army, you strengthen your command, you move closer to becoming what you were meant to be, a sovereign power in your own life, a force that shapes reality rather than merely responding to it. This is the ultimate battle, and it begins anew each day. Are you ready to take command? You. Sit there, surrounded by comfort, and wonder why greatness eludes you. Let me tell you what no one else will. Your comfort is killing you. Your ease is your enemy. Your luxury is your liability. While you dream of conquest from the softness of your chair, others are forging themselves in the flames of difficulty. I have seen armies crumble not from the force of their opponents, but from the softness of their own lives. In Russia, it wasn't just the winter that defeated soldiers. It was their inability to endure discomfort. They had grown too accustomed to the warmth of their beds, the regularity of their meals, the certainty of their comforts. When hardship came, they broke not because they were weak, but because they had forgotten how to be strong. This is the secret that every great leader throughout history has understood. Comfort is not a friend to be embraced, but an enemy to be watched. Every comfort you accept becomes a chain that binds you. Every luxury you embrace becomes a weakness in your armor. The more comfortable you become, the more vulnerable you are to the harsh realities of conquest. You say you want to build an empire? Then why do you sleep until the sun is high? You claim you want to change the world. Then why do you shrink from the cold, the hard, the difficult? Your comfort is not protecting you. It is preventing you from becoming who you must be. It is a prison built of silk and feathers, but a prison nonetheless. Let me share a truth I learned in battle. The most dangerous moment for any leader is not when they face the enemy, but when they begin to love comfort more than conquest. I have seen brilliant generals become mediocre because they started to prefer the softness of their tent to the hardness of the battlefield. I have watched promising young officers lose their edge because they chose comfort over capability. Your body craves comfort because it is designed for survival, not greatness. Your mind seeks ease because it is programmed for efficiency, not excellence. But you who aspire to leave your mark on history, must rise above these basic instincts. You must learn to find satisfaction in the strain, to seek out the difficult, to embrace the challenging. Every morning when your bed begs you to stay, it is testing your resolve. Every evening when exhaustion whispers for you to stop, it is measuring your commitment. These are not obstacles to your path. They are your path. The discomfort you avoid is precisely what you need. The hardship you fear is exactly what will forge you into something formidable. Look around you. What comforts are holding you back? What luxuries are making you soft? Your heated rooms, your cushioned chairs, your endless entertainment. These are not rewards for your success. They are reasons for your failure. They are the very things that keep you from becoming who you could be. The path to greatness is not comfortable. It was never meant to be. Every great achievement in history was built on a foundation of voluntary hardship. Every empire was forged by those who chose difficulty over ease. Your comfort zone is not a place to rest. It is a place to escape from. I tell you this not to make you suffer needlessly, but to wake you from the slumber of comfort. The more you embrace difficulty, the more you develop resilience. The more you choose the hard path, the more you develop strength. This is the paradox of greatness. Comfort weakens, while difficulty strengthens. Start small, but start now. Sleep on a harder mattress. Take cold showers. Work when others rest. Train when others sleep. Each discomfort you embrace is a weapon you add to your arsenal. Each luxury you reject is a chain you break from your potential. Remember, the enemy is not comfort itself, but your addiction to it. There will be times for rest, for recovery, for celebration. But these should be tactical retreats, not permanent residences. You should use comfort as a tool for recovery, not as a lifestyle. The world belongs to those who can endure what others cannot. History is written by those who can push through when others retreat. Your capacity for discomfort is directly proportional to your potential for greatness. The more you can endure, the more you can achieve. This is your wake-up call. This is your moment to choose. Will you remain in the warm embrace of mediocrity, or will you step into the cold waters of potential? Will you continue to be softened by comfort, or will you allow yourself to be strengthened by challenge? The choice is yours, but the consequences are universal. Those who choose comfort over growth will always serve those who choose growth over comfort. Which will you be? The one who serves, or the one who leads? The one who submits to comfort, or the one who commands their destiny? Listen to me carefully, for this is a truth that has built empires and forged legends. You are not what you dream of becoming. You are what you repeatedly do. I did not become emperor through a single battle or one grand strategy. I became who I am through the relentless repetition of disciplined action. Every great commander understands this fundamental law. Repetition is not the mark of failure. It is the mechanism of mastery. When my artillery units drilled the same maneuvers thousands of times, they weren't stuck in monotony. They were building unstoppable precision. Every repeated action was carving deeper channels of excellence into their very nature. You look for shortcuts, for moments of inspiration, for that one decisive action that will transform you overnight. But I tell you now, your daily habits are writing your history. Every morning you rise, or don't rise at your appointed hour. Every task you complete or abandon shapes your character. Every promise you keep or break determines your destiny. The difference between a common soldier and an elite guard isn't talent, it's training. The difference between a provincial officer and a field marshal isn't opportunity, it's repetition. What you do once is meaningless. What you do consistently becomes your reality. Your habits are your troops, and they will either fight for your greatness or against it. Consider this. Every great battle plan I ever executed was first rehearsed countless times in my mind and on the training ground. Every strategic innovation I implemented was built on the foundation of thoroughly mastered basics. You cannot innovate what you haven't first mastered, and you cannot master what you won't repeatedly practice. Your mind resists repetition because it mistakes familiarity for mastery. But true mastery only begins when you can execute flawlessly what others find boring. The greatest swordsman in France doesn't tire of practicing his basic strikes. The finest strategist doesn't graduate beyond studying fundamental principles. They understand that repetition isn't the enemy of progress, it is progress. Each day, you are laying the foundation of future victories or future defeats. Every habit, every routine, every repeated action is a brick in the fortress of your character. What are you building with your daily repetitions? A stronghold of discipline or a prison of mediocrity? The secret that transforms repetition from drudgery to power is this. Understand that each repetition is not identical to the last. Each time you repeat a disciplined action, you are stronger than the last time. Each time you reinforce a positive habit, you are easier to command. Your army of excellence grows with every single repetition. I want you to grasp this. Greatness is not built on exceptional moments. It is built on exceptional standards repeatedly met. When my armies marched across Europe, it wasn't their exceptional days that made them unstoppable. It was their standard day, repeated with unwavering discipline. Your habits will either multiply your strength or your weaknesses. There is no neutral ground. Every repeated action either reinforces excellence or mediocrity. Every routine either builds your empire or undermines it. Which are you reinforcing with your daily choices? Start examining your repetitions. What actions do you repeat most frequently? What thoughts cycle through your mind most often? What standards do you consistently maintain or consistently violate? These are not minor details. They are the architects of your destiny. The most dangerous repetition is not failure. It is the repeated compromise of your standards. When you consistently allow yourself to break your word, to fall short of your goals, to accept less than your best, you are not just failing. You are training yourself to fail. You are building failure into your character through repetition. But here is your opportunity. Just as negative habits are built through repetition, so are positive ones. Want to become unstoppable? Repeat your morning routine until it's unthinkable to start your day any other way. Want to develop strategic thinking? Review your decisions daily until analysis becomes instinct. Want to build confidence? Keep your word to yourself so many times that self-trust becomes your nature. Remember this: every great achievement in history was built on the foundation of mundane repetitions. The Roman Empire wasn't built through inspiration, it was built through the repeated application of disciplined principles. My victories weren't won through genius alone. They were won through the repeated execution of sound strategy. Your future is being written right now, not in the grand plans you make, but in the small actions you repeat. Every habit is a campaign. Every routine is a battle plan. Every repeated action is a soldier in the army of your character. What kind of force are you building through your daily repetitions? The time to begin is now. Choose one critical action, one vital habit, and commit to its repetition with the same seriousness you would commit to a military campaign. For in truth, that's exactly what it is: a campaign to conquer your own nature, to build an empire of excellence through the power of disciplined repetition. Let me tell you something about feelings that no motivational speaker will dare to say. Your feelings are not your allies. They are spies in your camp, saboteurs in your ranks, traitors to your cause. I have seen more campaigns fail because of feelings than because of enemy action. More battles have been lost to mood than to musket fire. You wait to feel motivated before you act. You wait to feel confident before you lead. You wait to feel ready before you begin. This is the strategy of defeat. Do you think I felt confident before every battle? Do you think my men felt ready before every campaign? Victory belongs to those who act despite their feelings, not because of them. Understand this: feelings are like weather. They are conditions to be navigated, not commands to be obeyed. A skilled commander doesn't wait for perfect weather to attack. He learns to win in any conditions. Your discipline must be your climate, unchanging regardless of your emotional weather. When I crossed the Alps with my army, do you think we felt like marching? When we fought through the Russian winter, do you think we felt like fighting? Feelings would have had us retreat. Feelings would have had us surrender. But discipline had us conquer. This weakness of waiting for the right feeling is epidemic in your era. You have been taught to trust your feelings, to honor your emotions, to wait until you're in the right headspace. This is the philosophy of the mediocre. This is the creed of those destined for obscurity. Let me share a military secret. Action isn't downstream from emotion. Emotion is downstream from action. You don't need to feel brave to act bravely. You don't need to feel disciplined to act with discipline. The feelings you wait for are actually created by the actions you avoid. When my soldiers were tired, cold, and demoralized, I didn't wait for their mood to improve. I ordered the drums to beat, the eagles to be raised, and the columns to march. And in the marching, in the action itself, their mood would transform. This is the alchemy of discipline. Action first, feelings follow. You must learn to treat your feelings like I treated unreliable intelligence reports. Acknowledge their existence, but never let them dictate your strategy. Your feelings will tell you to delay. They will tell you to doubt. They will tell you to retreat when you should advance. They are not your commanders. They are conditions to be commanded. The most dangerous feeling isn't fear. It's the feeling that you must feel. Fear. The most crippling doubt isn't about your abilities. It's the doubt that you must feel confident before you can act. Break this chain. Separate your actions from your emotions. Let discipline, not feeling, be your guide. This is why I insisted on rigid military routines. The routine doesn't care how you feel. The standard doesn't negotiate with your mood. The discipline doesn't consult your emotions. This is not cruelty. This is liberation. When you stop letting feelings dictate your actions, you start letting your actions dictate your success. Here is your new battle plan. Act first. Feel later. Wake up at your appointed hour, regardless of how you feel about it. Begin your most important work, regardless of whether you feel inspired. Train your body regardless of whether you feel energetic. Lead your team regardless of whether you feel confident. Your feelings will resist this coup. They will protest loudly and persistively. They will generate anxiety, doubt, and discomfort. Recognize these for what they are, not warning signs to be heeded, but resistance to be overcome. Every great achievement in history was built on the conquest of feelings, not the coddling of them. This is not to say you should become unfeeling. That would make you a poor leader. Rather, you must establish a hierarchy. Discipline commands. Feelings follow. Use your emotions as information, not instructions. Let them inform you, but never let them command you. The great irony is this. When you stop letting feelings control your actions, you actually gain mastery over your feelings. When you act with discipline, regardless of emotion, you develop emotional resilience. The more you act despite your feelings, the more your feelings align with your actions. Remember, feelings are temporary, but the consequences of yielding to them are permanent. Every time you let a feeling stop you from acting, you reinforce its power over you. Every time you act despite an unsupportive feeling, you diminish its control over your destiny. Starting today, make this your standard. I will act according to my discipline, not according to my feelings. I will move according to my plans, not according to my moods. I will advance according to my strategy, not according to my sentiment. This is the way of the conqueror. This is the path of the commander. Your feelings are not your masters. They are conditions on your battlefield. Learn to fight in any weather. Learn to win regardless of mood. Let discipline, not feeling, write your history. I have heard every excuse ever invented by the human mind, from generals explaining why they couldn't take a position, to soldiers explaining why they couldn't march another mile. But here is what I learned on the battlefield. Every excuse you accept is a fortress you surrender. Every justification you embrace is a battle you lose before it begins. Let me be clear. Excuses are not reasons. Reasons are tactical realities, to be analyzed and overcome. Excuses are psychological retreat positions where mediocrity garrisons itself. When my armies faced rivers, they didn't make excuses about the water. They built bridges. When we faced mountains, we didn't explain why they were too high. We found paths through them. You sit there with an arsenal of excuses at your disposal. I'm too tired. I'm not ready. The timing isn't right. I don't have the resources. Others have advantages I don't have. Each excuse is a weapon you use against yourself, a self-inflicted wound that no enemy had to waste ammunition to create. What you must understand is this. Every great achievement in history was created by people who had better excuses than you. Do you think I had perfect conditions when I began my campaigns? Do you think any empire was built by those who waited for ideal circumstances? The greatest resource you have is not time, money, or connections. It is your refusal to accept excuses, your Excuses have become your identity. You wear them like medals, proud displays of why you couldn't, shouldn't, or didn't have to. But these are not medals of honor. They are chains of imprisonment. Every excuse you tell yourself adds another bar to your cell, another wall between you and your potential. Here is the brutal truth. The world doesn't care about your excuses. History doesn't record explanations for why you couldn't. It records what you did. When they write about this era, they won't list all the reasonable-sounding justifications for mediocrity. They will only show the results of those who refused. To accept them, you must begin a campaign against your own excuses. Track them like enemy movements. Hunt them like enemy spies. When you hear yourself begin to form an excuse, treat it as a warning sign. Your weakness is preparing an assault on your potential. Counterattack immediately. The most dangerous excuses are the ones that sound like wisdom. I'm pacing myself. I'm being realistic. I'm maintaining work-life balance. These are not strategies. They are surrenders dressed up as rationality. They are retreat orders disguised as tactical decisions. Let me give you a military commander's perspective. Every excuse you entertain is like giving supplies to the enemy. Every justification you accept is like revealing your battle plans to your opponents. You are not protecting yourself with excuses. You are sabotaging yourself. Start your counteroffensive with this understanding. There is no such thing as a valid excuse for failing to pursue excellence. There are obstacles, yes. There are challenges, certainly. But excuses are for those who have already decided to accept defeat, who prefer the comfort of justification to the pain of growth. When you catch yourself making an excuse, ask this: would this excuse sound acceptable coming from someone you deeply respect? Would this justification seem reasonable from a leader you admire? Would this explanation satisfy you from someone you were counting on? If not, why do you accept it from yourself? Your mind will generate excuses with incredible creativity. It will find countless ways to justify inaction, mediocrity, and surrender. This is not your ally at work. This is your resistance to greatness, trying to sound reasonable. Learn to recognize these voices for what they are, the dying gasps of your potential, trying to convince you to let it fade quietly. From this moment forward, make this your standard. I will be a person who acts, not a person who explains why they couldn't act. I will be someone who finds a way, not someone who lists the reasons why there isn't a way. I will be a force that creates possibilities, not a voice that explains impossibilities. This is how you starve your excuses. Every time you feel one forming, replace it with action. Every time you catch yourself preparing a justification, initiate movement instead. Every time you notice yourself crafting an explanation for why you can't, redirect that mental energy into figuring out how you can. Remember this: at the end of your life, you will either have results or excuses. You cannot have both. Every moment you spend crafting and nurturing excuses is a moment you could have spent creating results. Every bit of energy you invest in justifying your current position is energy you could have invested in improving it. The choice is yours, but understand this: history is not written by those who had the best excuses. It is written by those who refuse to accept any excuses at all. Which side of history will you be on? The side that explained why they couldn't, or the side that showed how they did? The morning is your most critical battlefield, and how you command these first hours will determine the outcome of your entire day. I won more victories before sunrise than most generals won in their entire careers. While others slept, I planned. While they dreamed, I conquered. The morning hours are where empires are built or lost. Let me share a military truth. He who controls the morning controls the day's momentum. Every great campaign I ever launched began in the darkness before dawn. Not because I enjoyed rising early, but because I understood that the early hours provide a strategic advantage that no other time can offer. The mind is fresh, the world is quiet, and your willpower is at its strongest. You waste these precious hours. You surrender them to sleep, to mindless routines, to the soft tyranny of comfort. But understand this, every morning you waste is a battle you forfeit. Every late rising is a strategic position you surrender to your competition. While you press the snooze button, someone else is pressing their advantage. The morning is not just about being early, it's about being intentional. When I rose before dawn, it wasn't to simply be awake, it was to seize control of the day before the day could control me. I would review maps, study reports, plan movements, all while my enemy slept. By the time they awoke, I had already won the first battle of the day, the battle against procrastination and delay. Here is what you must understand about morning discipline. It is not natural. Your body will fight it. Your mind will resist it. Every fiber of your being will argue for more sleep, for a slower start, for a gentler beginning. This resistance is precisely why morning discipline is so powerful, because so few will master it. Create your morning like a military campaign. Plan it the night before. Set out your equipment, your materials, your objectives. When you wake, it should be to a battle plan already in motion. No decisions to make, no choices to ponder, no will to summon, just executable orders to follow. The first hour is the most strategic hour. This is when you set the tone, establish the momentum, and position your forces for the day ahead. Waste this hour, and you'll spend the rest of the day trying to recover lost ground. Master this hour, and you'll find yourself advancing with unstoppable momentum. Your morning routine must be inviolable. Treat it with the same seriousness as a military operation. No exceptions, no excuses, no negotiations. The time you set to rise is the time you rise. The tasks you set to complete are the tasks you complete. This is not about comfort or convenience. This is about command and control. Most people's mornings are chaos, a scramble of reactive actions and hurried preparations. This is no way for a commander to begin their day. Your morning must be a deliberate sequence of strategic actions, each one building upon the last, each one strengthening your position for the battles ahead. Physical training in the morning is non-negotiable. Your body is your primary weapon, and it must be sharpened first. When I led armies, I didn't begin my day with comfort. I began it with movement, with discipline, with the forging of my physical vessel. This wasn't about health, it was about command. A commander who cannot command their own body cannot command anything else. Your mind must be engaged before the world engages it. Read, study, plan, think. Do these things before the day's chaos begins. Your mental clarity in the morning is a tactical advantage. Use it to prepare your strategies, to fortify your knowledge, to sharpen your thinking before others have even opened their eyes. Protect your morning routine like you would protect a strategic military position. Let nothing penetrate its defenses. No late-night activities that would compromise your rising time. No morning interruptions that would disrupt your sequence. No exceptions that would weaken your command. The hardest battle of the morning is the first one. The moment your alarm sounds, win this battle and you set yourself up for a day of victories. Lose it, and you begin your day with a defeat. Remember, your first action of the day is a signal to your mind of who is in command, your discipline or your desires. Understand this about morning mastery. It's not about becoming a morning person, it's about becoming a commander of your day. It's not about loving the early hours, it's about loving what those hours allow you to accomplish. The morning is not your friend to be enjoyed, it's your advantage to be exploited. Your morning routine is not just a series of actions, it's a declaration of authority over your life. Every early rising is a victory over average. Every completed morning sequence is a battle won before the world even knows there's a war. This is how you build your empire, one morning at a time, one disciplined sequence at a time, one strategic hour at a time. The choice is yours. Will you command your mornings, or will your mornings command you? Will you begin each day as a victoress or a victim? Will you set the day's tempo, or will you spend your hours reacting to the tempo set by others? The morning waits for your decision, Commander. Energy without direction is like an army without orders, powerful but useless, potentially destructive to its own cause. I have seen battalions of the finest soldiers rendered ineffective not because they lacked strength, but because they lacked focus. Your energy is no different. It is not enough to have it. You must command it with precision. Consider this military truth. The size of the force matters less than the precision of its deployment. I defeated larger armies not because my men had more energy, but because I directed our energy with greater precision. While others exhausted themselves with scattered efforts, we concentrated our force where it would have the greatest impact. You waste your energy like a general who sends his troops in all directions, hoping that somewhere, somehow, they'll find victory. You scatter your attention across 1,000 minor skirmishes, then wonder why you can't win the major battles. This is not strategy. This is surrender to chaos. The most dangerous drain on your energy is not effort. It is distraction. When my armies marched, we cleared our supply lines of all unnecessary elements. Every pound of unnecessary equipment was a pound of lost momentum. Your mind must be managed the same way. Every notification, every interruption, every unnecessary commitment is stealing energy from your primary objective. Let me share a commander's secret. Energy flows where attention goes. When I studied the battlefield, I didn't try to observe everything. I looked for the decisive points where action would yield the greatest results. Your day is your battlefield. You must learn to identify the decisive points where your energy will yield maximum impact. Most people manage their energy like amateur generals. They commit their forces equally to every front. But mastery lies in discrimination. Some battles are worth your full force. Others should be ignored entirely. Some challenges deserve your peak energy. Others can be handled with minimal resources. Your peak energy hours are like elite troops. They should be committed only to your most important objectives. Would I have used my best cavalry to deliver messages? Would I have assigned my finest strategists to routine patrols? Yet you squander your strongest hours on trivial tasks? Then wonder why you can't conquer your most important challenges. Start thinking like a strategic commander. Map your energy patterns like you would map terrain. When are you sharpest? When are you most creative? When are you strongest? These are not just patterns to be observed. They are advantages to be exploited. Plan your most important work around these peak periods. Discipline in energy management means learning to say no. Every time I committed forces to one objective, I was simultaneously deciding not to commit them elsewhere. Your energy requires the same strategic clarity. Every yes is a no to something else. Every commitment of energy is energy denied to another purpose. The art of energy direction lies in preparation. Before every campaign, I would ensure our supplies were ready, our routes were cleared, our intelligence was gathered. Your energy requires the same preparation. Clear your space, prepare your materials, remove potential distractions before they can emerge. Make it easy for your energy to flow toward your objectives. Learn to recognize energy drains like a commander recognizes enemy traps. The chattering colleague, the endless scroll of social media, the unfocused meetings. These are not just annoyances. They are strategic threats to your power. They must be eliminated with the same determination you would show in removing threats. To your supply lines, your environment either amplifies or diminishes your energy. When I chose battlefields, I selected positions that would enhance our strengths and minimize our weaknesses. Your workspace, your tools, your surroundings, these are not neutral factors. They are either multiplying your force or dividing it. Establish clear boundaries like you would establish clear battle lines. Your energy needs to know where to go and, equally importantly, where not to go. Set working hours and honor them with military discipline. Create spaces dedicated to specific types of work, Let there be no ambiguity about where and how your energy should be deployed. Remember this, energy is not just about capacity, it's about clarity. The most energetic person without direction will be defeated by someone with half their energy, but twice their focus. Your task is not just to generate energy, but to direct it with strategic precision. Monitor your energy expenditure like a commander monitors his resources. Where is it being wasted? Where is it being well used? Where could it be better directed? This is not micromanagement. This is strategic command of your most precious resource. The difference between average performers and exceptional achievers is not their quantity of energy, but their ability to direct it. The average person's energy is like a flood, powerful but destructive. The achiever's energy is like a laser, focused and transformative. Your energy is your army. Will you let it wander aimlessly across the landscape of your day, or will you direct it with strategic precision toward your most important objectives? The choice and the consequences are yours, Commander. Before you dream of commanding others, you must first prove you can command yourself. This is the fundamental law of leadership that every aspiring commander must understand. I did not earn the right to lead armies until I had first conquered the army of my own impulses, doubts, and weaknesses. The first and most crucial battlefield is within. Let me tell you what they don't teach in military academies. The hardest person you will ever lead is yourself. It's easy to give orders to others. It's infinitely harder to give orders to your own mind and have them obeyed. Yet this is where all true leadership begins. If you cannot govern yourself with iron discipline, what right do you have to govern others? Self-leadership begins with brutal self-honesty. When I planned campaigns, I had to be ruthlessly honest about our strengths and weaknesses. You must apply the same strategic assessment to yourself. Where are you strong? Where are you weak? Where do you consistently fail to follow your own commands? This is not self-criticism. This is strategic intelligence gathering. The most dangerous enemy to your leadership is not external opposition, it's internal inconsistency. When I led men into battle, they followed because they knew my word was immutable. If I said we would attack at dawn, we attacked at dawn. If I said we would hold a position, we held it. Your relationship with yourself must have this same iron reliability. Every time you break a promise to yourself, you stage a coup against your own leadership. Here is a military truth about self-leadership. You must establish a chain of command within yourself. Your higher principles must command your momentary desires. Your long-term strategy must command your short-term tactics. Your committed self must command your comfortable self. Without this internal hierarchy, you have chaos, not leadership. Most people try to lead themselves through inspiration. This is like trying to win a war with speeches alone. True self-leadership is built on systems, on discipline, on daily drill. When I trained my armies, we didn't rely on motivation. We relied on method. Your self-leadership must be equally systematic. Build routines that don't require motivation. Create systems that run on discipline, not desire. The mark of a true leader is consistency between public and private behavior. I lived this principle. The Napoleon who planned in private was the same Napoleon who commanded in public. Your self-leadership must meet this same standard. Are you as disciplined when no one is watching? Are you as committed when there's no audience? Your private victories determine your public valor. Learn to issue clear orders to yourself. Vague commands produce vague results. When I directed my armies, every order was specific, time-bound, and actionable. Talk to yourself with this same military precision. Not, I should exercise more, but I will complete 50 push-ups at 600 hours. Not, I'll try to focus, but I will work without interruption from 0800 to 1000 hours. Your habits are your standing orders. In the military, standing orders govern daily operations without the need for constant reinforcement. Your habits should function the same way. Build them with intention, Review them with regularity, modify them when they no longer serve your strategy. But once established, execute them with military precision. Self-leadership requires you to be both the commander and the commanded. This is a complex dynamic that most never master. You must be hard enough to give difficult orders to yourself, yet disciplined enough to follow them. You must be strategic enough to plan, yet obedient enough to execute. You must be wise enough to counsel yourself, yet humble enough to listen. The highest form of self-leadership is self-discipline in the face of temptation. Any fool can follow orders when the path is easy. The true test of your command comes when everything within you rebels against your strategic imperatives. Can you maintain discipline when your emotions mutiny? Can you stay on course when your feelings revolt? Remember this: every order you give yourself is a vote for or against your leadership. Every time you follow through on a commitment, you strengthen your command. Every time you succumb to weakness, you undermine your authority. There is no neutral ground in self-leadership. You are either building your command or eroding it. Your mind must recognize you as its commanding officer. This authority isn't granted, it's earned through consistent, disciplined action, through promises kept, through standards maintained, through daily victories in the war against mediocrity. Your mind must know with unshakable certainty that when you give an order, that order will be followed. The ultimate test of your self-leadership is this: would you follow yourself? Would you trust your own command? Would you respect your own authority? If not, how can you expect others to? This is not a philosophical question. It's a strategic imperative. Your ability to lead others will never exceed your ability to lead yourself. Start today. Issue yourself clear orders. Establish unmistakable standards. Create concrete consequences. Lead yourself with the same seriousness you would lead an army. Because in truth, that's exactly what you're doing, commanding the army of your own thoughts, habits, and actions. How will you lead, Commander? Let me tell you a truth about power that few have the courage to speak. Pain is not something to be avoided. It is the currency with which you purchase greatness. I did not build an empire by shrinking from discomfort. Every achievement, every victory, every advance in my career was bought with pain, paid for with sacrifice, earned through discomfort. You seek power, but flee from pain. You desire greatness, but deny its cost. This is like wanting to win a battle without the willingness to bleed. I tell you now with the certainty of a commander who has led thousands, there is no transformation without pain, no growth without discomfort, no power without price. The pain of discipline is your training ground. When my soldiers drilled until their muscles burned, when they marched until their feet bled, they were not just suffering, they were transforming. Your workouts that burn, your studies that strain your mind, your challenges that stretch your capabilities, these are not punishments. They are payments for your future power. Understanding this changes everything. Pain is not a warning to stop. It is a signal of transformation. When I pushed my armies to their limits, the pain they felt was not damage, it was development. The same is true for you. The burn of exercise, the strain of learning, the discomfort of growth, these are not your enemies. They are your allies in the war against mediocrity. Most people's relationship with pain is that of a victim. They see it as something to be endured, avoided, medicated away. But the warrior, the leader, the conqueror, they see pain differently. They recognize it as a teacher, a forger, a crucible in which power is created. They don't just accept pain, they seek it out, understanding that voluntary hardship builds involuntary strength. Let me share a commander's wisdom. The pain you choose is better than the pain that chooses you. When I trained my forces, I chose their hardships carefully, strategically. Each difficulty was designed to build specific strengths. You must do the same. Choose your challenges, select your battles. Pick the pains that will forge you into who you need to become, the most dangerous. Pain is not the pain of action, it's the pain of regret. I have felt both the agony of defeat and the ache of unopposed surrender. Believe me when I tell you, the pain of having tried and failed is nothing compared to the endless torment of having never tried at all. Choose your pain, action, or regret. There is no third option. Your capacity for pain is directly proportional to your potential for power. When I selected officers, I didn't look for those who had suffered least. I looked for those who had learned most from their suffering. Your ability to extract wisdom from pain, strength from struggle, and power from adversity will determine your ultimate capability. Here is a military truth about pain. It is the ultimate separator. In every battalion, every campaign, every battle, it was pain that separated the extraordinary from the ordinary, not talent, not luck, not circumstances. The ability to continue when others quit, to advance when others retreat, to rise when others fall. This is what pain reveals about your character. You must learn to see pain as feedback, not failure. When my strategists brought me reports of losses, of setbacks, of difficulties, these were not defeats. They were data. Your pain is information. Your struggles are intelligence reports. Your difficulties are tactical feedback. Use them. Learn from them. Grow through them. The ego seeks comfort, but the spirit seeks transformation. Your comfortable self will always argue for ease, for rest, for the path of least resistance. But your higher self, your warrior self, your leader self, your conqueror self, knows that real power lies on the other side of pain. Which self will you listen to? Remember this: the pain of growth is temporary, but the pain of staying weak is permanent. When I drove my forces to extend beyond their perceived limits, the discomfort was intense but brief. The power they developed, however, lasted a lifetime. Choose your pain, the brief, intense pain of growth, or the endless, grinding pain of mediocrity. Your relationship with pain will determine your relationship with power. Those who flee from necessary pain remain weak. Those who endure unnecessary pain remain victims. But those who strategically embrace pain as a tool, as a teacher, as a forge, they become unstoppable. This is your moment of choice. Will you continue to flee from pain, or will you finally embrace it as the price of your evolution? Will you remain in the comfortable prison of mediocrity, or will you pay the painful price of greatness? Power awaits your decision, Commander. Every great achievement in history was bought with pain. Every advancement, every breakthrough, every conquest required someone to pay the price in discomfort, in sacrifice, in temporary agony for permanent glory. Are you willing to pay the price? Or will you remain in the ranks of those who wish for power but refuse its cost? Anyone can appear strong when the seas are calm. Any soldier can march in perfect formation on the parade ground. But it is chaos, pure, unrelenting chaos, that reveals the true nature of both leaders and followers. I did not discover who my best commanders were during peaceful planning sessions. I discovered them when our plans shattered against the anvil of reality. Let me tell you what I learned on 100 battlefields. Chaos is not your enemy. It is your greatest teacher. When the smoke of battle rises, when communications break down, when carefully laid plans dissolve into confusion, that is when you discover who you truly are. That is when your training proves its worth or its worthlessness. Most people pray for perfect conditions, for predictable circumstances, for controlled environments. This is the mindset of the amateur. The professional, the warrior, the leader understands that chaos is inevitable. More than that, chaos is necessary. It is the forge in which true capability is created. It is the fire in which pretense burns, away leaving only what is real. I have seen officers who shone in peacetime crumble in their first real battle. I have seen humble sergeants become generals in moments of crisis. Why? Because chaos strips away everything false. It removes every mask, every pretense, every illusion of competence. What remains is who you really are, not who you pretend to be. Here is a military truth about chaos. It does not create weakness, it reveals it. When my armies faced unexpected challenges, the chaos didn't make them weak or strong. It simply showed which units were truly prepared and which had been merely going through the motions. Your challenges aren't making you weak. They're showing you where you already were. The most dangerous response to chaos is panic. I have seen entire battalions rout not because of the enemy's strength, but because of their own fear of disorder. You must understand, chaos is not a deviation from reality. It is reality. Order is the exception. Chaos is the rule. The moment you accept this, you begin to build true strength. Your training must prepare you for chaos, not shield you from it. When I drilled my forces, I deliberately introduced uncertainty, confusion, unexpected challenges. Why? Because I knew that the battlefield would do the same. Your preparation must include disorder. Your practice must embrace unpredictability. Your training must court chaos. In chaos, your habits become your salvation. When everything is confusion and uncertainty, you fall back on what you have drilled into your very nature. This is why I insisted on rigorous training, not to create robots who could follow orders, but to create warriors who could function even when there were no orders to follow. Let me share a commander's insight. The goal is not to eliminate chaos, it is to become its master, to develop such deep competence, such ingrained discipline that chaos becomes your ally rather than your enemy. When others are paralyzed by disorder, you must see opportunities. When others are blinded by confusion, you must find clarity. Your response to chaos is a mirror that shows you who you are. When plans fail, when expectations shatter, when certainty crumbles, what remains? Do you become reactive or responsive? Do you look for someone to blame or something to learn? Do you seek escape or engagement? These responses are not random. They are revelations. Most people try to avoid chaos at all costs. They structure their lives to minimize uncertainty, to eliminate unpredictability, to control every variable. But in doing so, they deny themselves the very conditions that would forge them into something stronger. They trade growth for comfort, development for predictability. Remember this: the most dangerous chaos is not external, it is internal. When faced with disorder, your mind will create its own chaos. It will multiply uncertainties, amplify fears, generate endless scenarios of disaster. This internal chaos is what defeats most people long before external circumstances have their say. The ultimate test of your training is not how you perform when everything goes according to plan. It is how you perform when nothing does. When communication breaks down, when resources are depleted, when allies become uncertain, that is when your true capacity reveals itself. In these moments of chaos, you discover your real priorities. What truly matters to you becomes crystal clear. The superficial falls away. The essential remains. This is why chaos is such a powerful teacher. It strips away everything that is not vital, everything that is not true, everything that is not you. Your relationship with chaos will determine your level of success. Those who fear it remain small. Those who fight it waste their energy. But those who learn to move with it, to find opportunity within it, to maintain their center while everything around them spins, they are the ones who rise above the ordinary. This is your moment of truth. When chaos comes, and it will come, who will you reveal yourself to be? Will you be exposed as someone who was merely playing at strength, or will you be revealed as someone who had been quietly building true power? The chaos is coming, Commander. Are you ready to meet yourself? In the depths of solitude, you will find your greatest battlefield and your most crucial victories. I made my most decisive strategies not in war councils surrounded by generals, but in moments of profound solitude. It was in these quiet hours, these periods of intense isolation, that I learned the most vital lesson of leadership. Before you can command armies, you must learn to command the silence. You fear solitude. You run from it. You fill every moment with noise, with distraction, with the voices of others. But understand this: a leader who cannot be alone cannot truly lead. A commander who fears silence cannot hear the whispers of strategy. Your addiction to constant connection is not strength. It is weakness disguised as engagement. Let me share a military truth about solitude. It is the ultimate intelligence-gathering operation. When you are alone, truly alone, you receive intelligence, reports from your deepest self. You hear the warnings you've been ignoring, the strategies you've been avoiding, the truths you've been denying. But only if you have the courage to listen. Most people use noise to drown out their inner battles. They use constant activity to avoid confronting their own thoughts. This is like a general who refuses to read intelligence reports because he fears what they might contain. Your discomfort with solitude is a warning. It tells you exactly where you need to grow. The discipline of solitude requires 3 elements: silence, solitude, and stillness. Silence to hear your thoughts clearly. Solitude to face yourself honestly. Stillness to understand yourself deeply. Without these 3 elements, you remain a stranger to yourself. And how can you lead others when you don't know your own territory? I learned early in my campaigns that the quality of my solitude determined the quality of my leadership. When I took time to think deeply, to plan thoroughly, to consider carefully, away from the noise and opinions of others, my commands were clearer, my strategies sharper, my decisions more decisive. Your ability to be alone is directly proportional to your ability to lead. When I evaluated officers, I looked for those who could stand firm in their own company, who didn't need constant validation, who could think independently. A leader who cannot be alone is a leader who cannot truly think. In solitude, you develop your most powerful weapon, independent thought. When you constantly surround yourself with others' opinions, others' ideas, others' directions, you never develop your own strategic mind. Your thoughts become mere reflections of the crowd. True leadership requires original thinking, and original thinking requires solitude. The most dangerous enemy in solitude is not loneliness, it is restlessness. Your mind, accustomed to constant stimulation, will rebel. It will create distractions, generate anxieties, produce endless reasons to end your isolation. This is not weakness. This is resistance. And like any resistance, it must be overcome through discipline. Let me tell you what I learned about the productive use of solitude. It must be structured. When I retreated to think, to plan, to strategize, I didn't just sit and wait for inspiration. I brought questions to answer, problems to solve, strategies to develop. Your solitude should have purpose, direction, intention. Most people waste their moments of solitude. They use them to worry rather than think, to avoid rather than confront, to escape rather than engage. But productive solitude is active. It is a time for deep work, for serious thought, for strategic planning. It is not an absence of activity. It is the highest form of activity. Your relationship with solitude reveals your relationship with yourself. Can you sit quietly with your own thoughts? Can you face your doubts without reaching for distraction? Can you confront your fears without seeking escape? These are not just questions. They are diagnostic tools that reveal your readiness for leadership. Remember this: the greatest battles you will ever fight are internal, and these battles can only be fought in solitude. When I faced strategic decisions that would determine the fate of nations, I didn't take polls or seek consensus. I retreated into solitude, faced the problem with my full attention, and emerged with clarity. The discipline of solitude builds mental sovereignty. When you can think clearly and independently, and when you can reach your own conclusions, when you can maintain your center regardless of external chaos, then you have developed true leadership capacity. This sovereignty cannot be granted by others. It can only be developed in solitude. Your power as a leader is directly related to your comfort with solitude. Those who cannot be alone become followers by default, constantly seeking guidance, validation, direction from others. But those who master solitude develop the internal compass that true leadership requires. This is your challenge. Learn to embrace solitude not as an enemy to be feared, but as an ally to be cultivated. Use it as training ground for your mind, as a forge for your thoughts, as a theater for your internal battles. For it is in these quiet moments, these solitary hours, that your leadership is truly developed. Let me deliver a truth that most will never have the courage to tell you. You are not special, not yet. I was not born Napoleon the Emperor. I was born Napoleon, the minor nobleman's son. What separated me from others was not my birthright, but what I chose to do with every hour of every day. Greatness is not inherited. It is built. You live in an era of instant gratification, where everyone is told they are extraordinary simply for existing. This is not empowerment. This is disarmament. When I built my empire, I didn't start with delusions of inherent greatness. I started with a clear understanding whatever greatness I would achieve would have to be earned through relentless action. Let me share a military truth. Potential means nothing on the battlefield. I have seen the most promising officers fail because they relied on their natural gifts rather than developing their capabilities. I have seen seemingly ordinary soldiers rise to extraordinary heights through sheer force of discipline. Your potential is not your destiny. It is merely your starting point. The most dangerous belief you can hold is that you are somehow special without having proven it through action. This belief is like a soldier who thinks he is invincible before his first battle. It is not confidence, it is delusion. True confidence is built through achievement, through conquest, through overcoming real challenges, your talents, your intelligence, your natural abilities. These are not achievements. They are weapons, unsharpened and untested. I had a talent for strategy, yes, but that talent would have meant nothing without thousands of hours studying military history, analyzing battles, and learning from both victories and defeats. Your gifts are not your accomplishments. Most people use their perceived specialness as an excuse for mediocrity. I could be great if I wanted to. I have so much potential. I'm different from others. These are the lullabies of the mediocre. The truly exceptional don't talk about their potential. They are too busy actualizing it through relentless work. Here is what separates the truly special from the self-proclaimed special. The truly special are forged, not born. When I selected officers, I didn't care about their natural talents or their self-image. I cared about what they had proven they could do. I cared about the battles they had won, the challenges they had overcome, the growth they had demonstrated. Your specialness, if it exists at all, must be proven daily. When I rose to power, each day required me to demonstrate why I deserved to lead. There were no inherited victories, no permanent achievements. Each sunrise brought new challenges that had to be met with fresh proof of capability, the most painful. Truth about greatness is this: it must be earned anew each day. Your past achievements, while valuable, do not guarantee future success. The moment you begin to coast on past accomplishments, on natural talent, on perceived specialness, that is the moment you begin your descent into mediocrity. Let me tell you what makes someone truly special. Not their dreams, not their potential, not their self-image, but their daily choices. The decision to rise early when others sleep. The choice to study while others entertain themselves. The commitment to excellence when others settle for good enough. These choices, repeated daily, are what forge specialness. Your journey to becoming special begins with this understanding. Greatness is not your birthright. It is your conquest. Every great achievement in history was created by people who started as ordinary but chose to become extraordinary through their actions, their discipline, their relentless pursuit of excellence. Remember this: the world doesn't owe you recognition. History doesn't owe you a place. Leadership doesn't owe you followers. These things must be earned through demonstrated value, through proven capability, through consistent delivery of results. Your potential is merely a promissory note. Your actions are the payment. The path to becoming truly special is paradoxical. It begins with accepting that you are not special yet. This humility is not weakness, it is strategic clarity. It allows you to see clearly what you must build, what you must develop, what you must prove. It is the foundation upon which real greatness can be built. This is your wake-up call. Stop believing in your specialness and start creating it. Stop talking about your potential and start actualizing it. Stop waiting for the world to recognize your greatness and start demonstrating it through your actions, your discipline, your results. Your specialness, if it is to exist at all, must be carved out of the granite of reality with the tools of discipline, persistence, and unwavering commitment to excellence. It must be proven in the arena of action, tested in the furnace of challenge, and demonstrated in the theater of results. This is your moment of truth. Will you continue to believe in an unearned specialness, or will you begin the hard work of becoming truly exceptional? The choice and the consequences are yours, Commander. The loudest soldier on the battlefield is often the first to fall. I did not build my empire by announcing my every move, by revealing my strategies to the world, by seeking validation before victory. The greatest operations I ever conducted were planned in silence, executed in silence, and only became known when their success was irreversible. You live in an age of noise where every minor achievement must be broadcasted, every small step celebrated, every intention announced to the world. This is not confidence, it is strategic weakness. When I planned my campaigns, only my closest generals knew our true objectives. The rest of the world learned of our intentions through our victories, not our declarations. Let me share a military truth. Silence is a weapon. When my armies moved in silence, we maintained the element of surprise. When we struck without warning, we maximized our impact. Your goals, your plans, your ambitions, these are your strategic advantages. Why would you surrender them by announcing them to the world? The most dangerous form of self-sabotage is premature celebration. I have seen promising operations fail because soldiers celebrated before the battle was truly won. Your announcements of future success, your declarations of coming victory, your premature sharing of unfinished work, these are not signs of confidence, they are acts of strategic surrender. Your silence is your shield. Your discretion is your armor. In an age where everyone feels compelled to share everything, your ability to maintain silence becomes a superpower. When others broadcast their every move, your silence makes you unpredictable. When they seek validation, your quiet focus makes you unstoppable. Consider this. Every great strategy I ever executed was developed in silence. The plans that changed the face of Europe were not discussed in public forums or announced to the world. They were crafted in quiet rooms, refined in private councils, executed with silent precision. The world learned of them only through their results. Most people use noise to compensate for lack of action. They talk about what they will do, discuss what they might achieve, announce what they plan to accomplish. But in doing so, they drain their energy, diffuse their focus, and alert their competition. Silence is not just about secrecy, it is about conservation of force. The discipline of silence requires tremendous self-control. Your ego will urge you to share, to announce, to seek validation. This is weakness masquerading as confidence. True confidence doesn't need constant external validation. True power doesn't need constant acknowledgement. True capability speaks through results, not announcements. Remember this, the time for noise is after the victory, not before the battle. When I won a decisive engagement, then, and only then, did I allow the trumpets to sound. Your achievements, once secured, will speak louder than any premature announcement ever could. Let your success make the noise, your ability to maintain. Silence is directly proportional to your strategic advantage. Those who must constantly speak about their plans reveal their strategic immaturity. Those who can work quietly, maintain their focus privately, and strike decisively. These are the ones who achieve lasting victory. The paradox of power is this: the more significant your actions, the less you need to speak about them. When I executed maneuvers that would reshape nations, I didn't seek permission, validation, or acclaim. I moved with silence, struck with precision, and let the results speak for themselves. Learn to find satisfaction in silent progress. Take pleasure in knowing what others don't know. Find confidence in your quiet preparation. The universe doesn't need a constant update on your plans. Your competition doesn't deserve a preview of your strategies. Your critics don't require an explanation of your methods. Your silence should be strategic, not absolute. There are times to speak, times to share, times to announce. But these should be chosen carefully, timed precisely, executed purposefully. Your words, like your actions, should be deployed for maximum impact, not scattered for minimum effect. This is your challenge. Can you find the discipline to work in silence? Can you find the strength to maintain your focus without seeking constant validation? Can you find the confidence to let your results speak louder than your announcements? The world is full of noise. Let others contribute to it. Your path is one of quiet preparation, silent execution, and decisive action. Move like a shadow, strike like lightning, and let your achievements thunder across the landscape of history. This is the way of the true commander. When I crossed the Alps with my army, I did not leave an easy path of retreat. When I advanced into Egypt, I burned the ships that could have carried us home. This was not reckless abandon. It was strategic commitment. I understood a truth that most never grasp: the power of having no escape route, no plan B, no safe path back to mediocrity. You keep your bridges intact. You maintain your escape routes. You create backup plans for your backup plans. This is not wisdom. It is weakness. This perpetual preparation for failure, this constant preservation of retreat paths, is precisely what makes failure more likely. Your safety nets become your prisons. Let me share a military truth that changed the course of history. When soldiers know there is no retreat, they find ways to advance that they never knew existed. When I burned our ships before battle, it wasn't to trap us, it was to unleash us. When every option except victory is removed, victory becomes the only possibility your mind will focus on. The most dangerous safety net is not external, it is internal. It's not the physical bridges you maintain, it's the psychological escape routes you preserve. I can always go back to my old job. I can always move back home. I can always settle for less. These thoughts are not safety nets. They are anchors holding you in the harbor of mediocrity. Your commitment must be absolute. When I launched campaigns that would reshape continents, I didn't have a fallback strategy. I didn't have a comfortable alternative. I had victory or oblivion. This total commitment didn't limit my options. It expanded them. When retreat is impossible, your mind finds ways forward that timidity would never discover. Consider this paradox. Having no escape route is your greatest security. When I removed all possibilities of retreat, my armies became invincible, not because they were stronger, but because they were fully committed. Total commitment unleashes resources, creativity, and determination that half commitment never can. Most people think keeping their options open makes them stronger. They maintain countless escape routes, endless alternatives, multiple backup plans. But this multiplication of options divides their focus, fragments their energy, and weakens their resolve. True power comes from channeling all your force through a single point. The bridge-burning moment is your moment of transformation. When I crossed the Rubicon, the die was cast. There was no going back, no comfortable alternative, no safe retreat. That moment of total commitment altered not just my fate, but the fate of Rome. Your bridge-burning moment awaits. The moment when you remove all possibility of retreat. Remember this: half measures produce half results. When I encountered generals who kept their retreat paths open, who maintained their fallback positions, who preserved their escape routes, I knew they were already defeated. They had lost the battle in their minds before it began on the field. Your level of success will be directly proportional to the number of bridges you're willing to burn. Those who keep every option open remain trapped by every option. Those who burn their bridges, who make their commitment absolute, find that their very commitment creates new options they never could have imagined. The most powerful decision you can make is to remove the possibility of retreat. When I led armies into unknown territories, across imposing mountains against superior forces, it was our complete commitment that made victory possible. When the only way out is through, you find ways through that you never knew existed. Understand this. Burning your bridges is not about being reckless. It's about being resolved. It's not about reducing your options. It's about focusing your force. When every ounce of energy, every moment of time, every unit of effort is focused on advancing because retreat is impossible, you become unstoppable. Your bridges to mediocrity are not protecting you. They are imprisoning you. Every escape route you maintain, every backup plan you preserve, every retreat path you protect is energy diverted from your advance. These are not safety nets. They are chains holding you back from your full potential. This is your moment of decision. What bridges will you burn? What escape routes will you eliminate? What backup plans will you abandon? What complete commitment will you make? These are not just questions. They are the coordinates of your future victory or defeat. The world moves aside for the person who has burned their bridges. When I committed my forces totally, without retreat, without reservation, without regard for any possibility except victory, the very absoluteness of that commitment transformed obstacles into opportunities, barriers into breakthroughs, impossibilities into inevitabilities. Are you ready to burn your bridges? Are you prepared to make your commitment absolute? Are you willing to remove every escape route until victory becomes your only option? The flame awaits, Commander. The bridge awaits. Your moment of total commitment awaits. Your routine is not just a schedule. It is your daily campaign plan. I did not conquer Europe through sporadic bursts of brilliance. I conquered it through ruthlessly executed routines that turned average days into unstoppable momentum. Your daily routine is either building your empire or undermining it. There is no neutral ground. Let me share a military truth that transformed armies into empires. Structure is not the enemy of freedom. It is the foundation of power. When my armies moved across continents, it was not chaos that carried them forward. It was routine. Every morning, every march, every maneuver was governed by precise routines that turned intention into reality. You resist routine. You call it boring, restrictive, limiting. This is the logic of the amateur. When I trained my artillery units, we drilled the same movements thousands of times. Was this exciting? No. Was it transformative? Absolutely. Your routine is not entertainment. It is artillery preparation for the battles of life. The most powerful. Routine is not the most complex. It is the most executable. When I designed military protocols, I didn't create elaborate procedures that would collapse under pressure. I created simple, unbreakable routines that could be executed in any condition. Your routine must be simple enough to survive your worst day. Consider this. Every great achievement in history was built on the foundation of routine. The pyramids were not built by inspired workers. They were built by routine-driven laborers. My campaigns were not won through sporadic genius. They were won through relentless routine. Greatness is not built on intensity. It is built on consistency. Your routine must be a system of force multiplication. When I established military routines, each element reinforced the others. Morning inspection improved afternoon performance. Evening review strengthened morning preparation. Your routine should not be a list of random tasks. It should be a strategic sequence where each element amplifies the others. Most people's routines are defensive, designed to survive the day. This is the mindset of the besieged, not the conqueror. Your routine must be offensive, designed to win the day. Every element should advance your position, strengthen your capabilities, extend your influence. A powerful routine is a campaign plan, not a survival guide. The discipline of routine requires three elements: design, execution, and refinement. When I created military protocols, we designed them carefully, executed them religiously, and refined them constantly. Your routine must be engineered with strategic intent, executed with martial discipline, and improved through constant evaluation. Remember this: your routine is your reality. What you do daily is not just what you do, it is who you become. When I trained officers, I didn't care about their occasional brilliant moments. I cared about their daily habits, their consistent behaviors, their unbreakable routines. These were the true predictors of their capability. Your morning routine is your daily conquest. How you begin your day determines how you command your day. When my armies prepared for battle, the morning routine was sacred. It wasn't just about tasks. It was about mentality, preparation, command. Your morning routine must build not just your schedule, but your sovereignty. The most dangerous threat to your routine is not external chaos. It is internal compromise. When my forces faced disruption, it wasn't the disruption that defeated them. It was their willingness to abandon their routines. Your routine must be treated as a command, not a suggestion. It must be honored, especially when it's hardest to maintain. Build your routine like you would build a fortress. Every element must serve a purpose. Every sequence must reinforce the whole. Every habit must contribute to your objective. There should be no weak points, no unnecessary elements, no wasted motion. A powerful routine is as strategically designed as any military campaign. Your routine must include these 4 elements: preparation, action, recovery, and review. When I commanded armies, we prepared thoroughly, acted decisively, recovered strategically, and reviewed rigorously. Your daily routine must follow this same pattern. Each element is essential. None can be skipped without undermining the whole. This is your challenge. Can you build a routine so strong it carries you through your weakest moments? Can you create habits so powerful they overcome your strongest resistance? Can you establish protocols so effective they turn average days into advancing victories? The power of routine is this: it turns strategic objectives into daily realities. When I planned to conquer a nation, I didn't rely on inspiration. I relied on routine. Every great goal is achieved not through momentary brilliance, but through relentless routine. Your routine is either building your empire or ensuring you never create one. Your routine is your path to power. Those who leave their days to chance remain at the mercy of circumstance. Those who bring military-grade routine to their days become masters of their circumstances. Which will you be, the commander of your day or the victim of it? Your routine awaits your decision. In the heat of battle, I discovered a truth that most will never understand. Emotional control is not just a virtue, it is a weapon of unprecedented power. I won more victories through emotional discipline than through tactical brilliance. While others were governed by their emotions, I governed mine. This was not suppression, it was strategic supremacy. Let me share a military truth that changed the course of wars. The commander who controls his emotions controls the battlefield. When my generals lost their composure, they lost their commands. When they maintained their calm, they maintained their victory. Your emotions are either your greatest allies or your most dangerous enemies. There is no middle ground. You let your emotions command you. You allow anger to dictate your responses, fear to determine your actions, excitement to cloud your judgment. This is not freedom, it is surrender. When I faced setbacks that would have broken lesser commanders, it was not absence of emotion that saved me, it was mastery of emotion. The most dangerous emotion is not anger or fear, it is reactive emotion. When I encountered provocations on the battlefield, it wasn't the provocation that threatened our success. It was the temptation to react emotionally rather than respond strategically. Your emotional reactions are not responses. They are surrenders of command. Consider this paradox. The calmer you remain, the more power you have. When chaos erupted around me, when plans shattered, when allies betrayed us, My calm was not just a personal state, it was a strategic advantage. In a world of emotional reactivity, emotional control becomes a superpower. Your emotions want to command you through intensity. They demand immediate response, instant action, automatic reaction. But understand this, intensity of emotion is often inversely proportional to strategic effectiveness. The moments when you feel most compelled to react emotionally are precisely the moments when you must exert maximum control. Most people's relationship with emotion is passive. They feel something, then they act on it. This is the strategy of defeat. When I led armies, I had to master not just strategy and tactics, but my own emotional state. Your emotions must be subordinate to your strategy, not the other way around. The discipline of emotional control has three elements: awareness, choice, and direction. When I commanded forces, I had to be aware of my emotional state, choose my response rather than react, and direct my emotional energy strategically. Your emotions are energy. They can either be wasted in reaction or invested in response. Remember this: your emotional state is a strategic position to be commanded, not a natural condition to be accepted. When I faced decisions that would determine the fate of nations, I couldn't afford to let temporary emotions override permanent objectives. Your emotional control is not about suppression, it's about strategic deployment. Anger, properly controlled, becomes determination. Fear, properly directed, becomes preparation. Excitement, properly channeled, becomes precision. When I trained officers, I didn't teach them to ignore their emotions. I taught them to transform them. Your emotions are not your masters. They are your resources to be strategically deployed. The most powerful form of emotional control is not suppression, it is transformation. When my armies faced overwhelming odds, I didn't deny their fear. I transformed it into focused aggression. Your emotions are energy that can be transformed, directed, utilized. The question is not whether you feel, it is how you use what you feel. Build your emotional control like you would build a fortress. Every weakness must be identified. Every vulnerability must be strengthened. Every potential point of failure must be reinforced. Your emotional control cannot be occasionally strong. It must be consistently unbreakable. Your emotional mastery must include these four elements: recognition, pause, choice, and direction. When I commanded armies, I had to recognize emotional triggers, pause before reacting, choose my response, and direct my emotional energy strategically. This is not just a process. It is a military protocol for emotional command. This is your challenge. Can you maintain emotional control when everything around you calls for emotional reaction? Can you keep your strategic focus when circumstances demand emotional response? Can you transform emotional energy into strategic power? The power of emotional control is this: it turns what would defeat others into what distinguishes you. When I faced betrayals that would have broken others, it was not lack of feeling that sustained me. It was mastery of feeling. Your emotional control is not just about personal stability, it's about strategic advantage. Your emotional control is your command center. Those who let emotions rule them remain tactical victims of circumstance. Those who learn to command their emotions become strategic masters of circumstance. Which will you be? The commander of your emotional state or its prisoner? Your control awaits your decision. The connection between physical discipline and mental command is not a theory. It is a military reality I witnessed countless times. I did not maintain my army's physical condition for health alone. I did it because I knew that physical training was the fastest route to mental fortitude. Your body is not just a vessel to carry your mind. It is the primary battlefield where mental toughness is forged. Let me share a commander's truth that transformed raw recruits into unstoppable forces. The mind cannot be directly trained, but it can be forged through physical challenge. When my soldiers faced grueling marches, punishing drills, and relentless training, they weren't just building stronger bodies, They were building unbreakable minds. You treat your body like a civilian, luxury rather than a warrior's weapon. You exercise for appearance, train for vanity, move for pleasure. This is not wrong. It is merely insufficient. When I trained my forces, every physical challenge was designed not just to strengthen the body, but to forge mental resilience. Your body is the forge where warrior psychology is created. The most powerful aspect of physical training is not the physical change, it is the mental transformation. When I pushed my armies through seemingly impossible challenges, the greatest growth wasn't in their muscles, it was in their minds. Every physical limit overcome rewrites what your mind believes is possible. Consider this paradox. The harder you train your body, the stronger your mind becomes. When my officers underwent intense physical conditioning, their mental capabilities expanded proportionally. Decision-making improved. Strategic thinking clarified. Leadership strengthened. Your physical training is not just about fitness. It is about forging mental excellence. Your body's resistance is your mind's greatest teacher. When your muscles scream for you to stop, when your lungs burn for relief, when your limbs beg for rest, these are not physical limitations. They are mental challenges disguised as physical ones. Every rep, every mile, every drill is a battle for mental supremacy. Most people's approach to physical training is fragmented from their mental development. This is a strategic error. When I prepared armies for campaign, physical and mental training were inseparable. Every physical challenge was a mental lesson. Every bodily hardship was a psychological strengthening. Your body and mind must be trained as one unified force. The discipline of physical training has three elements: intensity, consistency, and purpose. When I conditioned troops, we pushed to the limit, maintained relentless regularity, and never lost sight of our ultimate objective. Your physical training must have this same military-grade structure. Random exercise is not training. It is motion without mission. Remember this: your body's capabilities directly influence your mind's beliefs. When I watched soldiers accomplish what they thought impossible physically, their mental limits expanded. Automatically, your physical achievements rewrite your mental programming. Every physical barrier broken destroys a mental limitation. Physical discomfort is mental training ground. When my forces trained in harsh conditions through exhaustion and strain, they weren't just developing physical tolerance, they were building mental fortitude. Your comfort in physical challenge directly translates to your resilience in mental challenge. The most powerful form of mental training is physical challenge. When I needed to develop stronger leaders, I didn't start with theoretical lessons. I started with physical demands. Your mind grows strongest when your body is pushed to its limits. This is not theory, this is battlefield-tested truth. Build your physical training like you would build a military campaign. Every session must have clear objectives. Every movement must serve a purpose. Every challenge must build toward greater capability. Your physical training cannot be recreational. It must be transformational. Your warrior development must include these four elements: strength, endurance, agility, and recovery. When I prepared commanders for battle, they needed to be strong, enough to lead, enduring enough to persist, agile enough to adapt, and disciplined enough to recover. Your physical training must develop all these elements to forge complete mental command. This is your challenge. Can you approach physical training not just as bodily development, but as mental warfare? Can you use physical challenge as psychological strengthening? Can you forge your mind through the fire of physical discipline? The power of physical training is this: it turns abstract mental qualities into concrete realities. When I needed to develop courage in troops, I didn't lecture them about bravery. I put them through challenges that forced them to be brave. Your physical training is not just about building a better body. It's about forging an unbreakable mind. Your physical condition is your mental foundation. Those who neglect their physical training remain mentally fragile. Those who embrace physical challenge as mental forging become unstoppable in both body and mind. Which will you be, the warrior who uses physical training to forge mental power, or the civilian who forever separates body and mind? Your forge awaits your decision. This is not about balance. This is not about moderation. This is about dominance. I did not become emperor by seeking work-life harmony. I became emperor by living every moment, every decision, every action with the intensity and purpose of a military commander. Your life is not a casual affair to be lived. It is a campaign to be commanded. Let me share the final military truth that separated emperors from ordinary men. There is no such thing as off-duty leadership. When I commanded armies, I didn't stop being a commander when I left the battlefield. Every moment, every interaction, every decision was executed with military precision and commanding presence. Your life requires this same total commitment to excellence. You partition your life into segments: work self, home self, social self. This is civilian thinking. When I led nations, there was no separation. Every moment was a moment of command. Every situation was a situation requiring leadership. Every interaction was an interaction demanding excellence. Your life is not a series of separate roles. It is one continuous campaign. The most dangerous myth in modern life is the myth of balance. When I built an empire, I didn't seek balance. I sought dominance, not over others, but over myself, over circumstances, over challenges. Your life doesn't need better balance. It needs better command, more precise execution, more strategic thinking, more disciplined action. Consider this. Every great achievement in history was created by people who lived like commanders, not like civilians. The pyramids weren't built by people seeking work-life balance. The great conquests weren't achieved by those who divided their focus. Your commitment to excellence must be total, not partial. Your life must be lived with military precision. When I planned campaigns, every detail mattered. Every decision had consequences. Every action had strategic importance. Your life deserves this same level of strategic attention. Every hour should be deployed with purpose. Every interaction should be executed with precision. Every decision should be made with commanding clarity. Most people live life like soldiers, awaiting orders. They react to circumstances, respond to demands, follow the paths others have laid out. This is the route to mediocrity. When I trained commanders, I taught them to think strategically, act decisively, and lead confidently. Your life requires this same level of commanding presence. The discipline of living like a commander has three elements: strategic thinking, decisive action, and unwavering standards. When I led armies, every decision was strategic, every action was decisive, every standard was non-negotiable. Your life must be commanded with this same military-grade discipline. Remember this: your life is your empire. When I built mine, it required total commitment, complete focus, and absolute standards. Your life deserves nothing less. Every area of your life, health, work, relationships, personal development, must be commanded with excellence, not just managed with competence. Commanding presence is not an act, it is an identity. When I walked into a room, I didn't try to look like a commander, I was a commander. Your presence must carry this same weight of authentic authority, not through pretense, but through the genuine embodiment of excellence. The most powerful form of leadership is self-leadership. When I commanded others, it was because I had first learned to command myself. Your ability to lead others, to influence circumstances, to shape reality, begins with your ability to command your own actions, thoughts, and standards. Build your life like you would build an empire. Every decision must serve your strategic objectives. Every relationship must strengthen your position. Every action must advance your cause. Your life cannot be a series of random events. It must be a strategically executed campaign. Your command must extend to these four domains: personal, professional, physical, and psychological. When I led nations, I had to maintain command in every arena. Your life requires this same comprehensive command. No area can be left to chance. No domain can be allowed to weaken. This is your final challenge. Can you live every day with the precision of a military commander? Can you approach every situation with strategic clarity? Can you maintain your standards with unwavering discipline? The power of living like a commander is this. It turns ordinary existence into extraordinary achievement. When I commanded armies, it wasn't just about giving orders, it was about embodying excellence in every moment. Your life is not just a series of days to be lived. It is a campaign to be commanded. This is your moment of ultimate decision. Will you continue to live like a civilian, seeking balance and comfort? Or will you embrace the way of the commander, seeking excellence and achievement? Will you manage your life, or will you command it? The choice and the consequences are yours, Commander.